welcome to Cup to Hook conversation number 12. Today is Friday, May 29th of 2020, and I am excited to spend this time with you. So thank you for inviting me into your homes or coming over to my house today. I look forward to the time that we are going to share as we spend time together. So if you've got some whips, grab them and work on them as we chat. So the very first thing that I want to talk to you about is I kept telling you that I was patiently waiting for my Crochet Society box. Guess what came yesterday? That's right, my friends. My box number 10, my Feather Crochet Society box. So I will be uploading a separate video very soon with the unboxing of this, hopefully later today. And just have to do it. Oh, love that sound. So if you want to hear that sound and see what is inside, be sure and catch that video. So if you are new to my channel, be sure and hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos, especially the unboxing of this fabulous box. Isn't that just gorgeous? Oh, I just love it. All right. So, did you tell yourself every day this past week that you are good? And that is based off of our last conversation together. And so I hope you did. I hope every day you reminded yourself that you are good and found the joy in every single day, the goodness that God gives us every day. And let's see, Monday was Memorial Day. So I hope that you had an opportunity to thank some of our military folks for their service. And if you know someone who has served and has retired and is a veteran, definitely I hope you had an opportunity to thank them for their service. I know that I did have a wonderful chat with my son, who is a Marine stationed at Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri, and he is doing well. And hopefully in the next 3 or 4 weeks, we'll know where he's going and maybe even get some time with him. His scheduled graduation date is later in the month of June. So we are very excited about that. And of course, Jonathan, I thank you for your service, son. So proud of you. And then the last little bit of news this week is kind of some sad news. Trayvon, who is the young man that I have been talking to you about a little bit over the last couple of weeks, he is an adopted son of mine, so to speak. My son from another mother. He and my youngest son have been friends since the 2nd grade. And oh my goodness, he has grown up in my house, and he is the one that came and brought me the flowers for Mother's Day. And then I gave him a little love shout last week for his YouTube channel. And this week, unfortunately, Trayvon is having to deal with the loss of his grandmother. So I just ask that you just keep him in your thoughts and prayers this week, and definitely know that she is in a better place and she is no longer suffering from cancer. She is laughing, dancing, singing, and just having all kinds of fun with Jesus. But back here, Trayvon is having a difficult time and is missing her. So just keep him in your thoughts and prayers this week. I appreciate it. So that is all the things that is for our what's ups and what's new this week. All right, so what is in your cup? So today I am drinking Perfect Peach Tea is what it's called. I don't know if you can see that. I don't want to spill it, but I love the fact that it's just hot right now. It's just warm tea. Feels good. No promotion anywhere, just simply sharing what's in my cup. But I'm drinking Bigelow's Perfect Peach Herbal Tea today. And it is really good. And I was just looking because sometimes some of the teas that I drink have these cute little sayings on them, but this one did not. So what are you drinking today? What are your busy hooks up to this week? What you got going on? So even though this has been my short week, I have unfortunately not been able to do a lot on my whips, partly because I have spent a good bit of time trying to create my own hat patterns. And so we did successfully have a tutorial on my first hat pattern that I ever designed. And I made not only one, but two. So, and I'm calling it the double layered puff stitch. And just simply because there's 2 rows in between each of the puff stitch, but I hope you can see that very well. I was very, very proud of it. Thought it turned out very nicely. And so I also created another hat. I took the idea from the sleeves and the cuffs from the hoodies and made a headband for this hat. So instead of working it from the crown down like I did with the double layer puff hat, I did it from the band, the brim, I guess, first, and then I used the grit stitch and I worked it up. And I didn't like exactly how this part worked out on the top of the hat, but you can't see, it doesn't show any like messes or mistakes or anything. But for the tutorial, I did design it a little bit different than how I did for when I actually created this hat. But it still looks the same. It's just I got to the center of this a little bit differently than I did in the tutorial. So that will be on Monday's tutorial. And so I hope you will join me for that. But that is how that hat came out. And it is actually, I've titled it the Twilight Grit Hat because the color of the variegated yarn is twilight. And the stitch that I mainly used in that is the grit stitch. So very pleased with that. Loved how that came out. And I have debated and debated whether or not to share these with you, but I wanted you to see that I really have been busy doing something. So I have designed 2 other hats. I have not come up with names for them yet, but they will be in our future tutorials as we continue with our Hat Not Hate project. This will be the next hat that we will make. I, again, have not decided what to call it, but with this one, again, I started from the brim first and then created the hat from there. And this hat is mainly just double crochet. So it's a very simple hat. I'm sure someone somewhere in their genius has designed a hat already similar to this because double crochet is a very popular stitch. So that's pretty much all I did with that, but I don't want to tell you too much because I want you to come and check out my tutorial. So that is one hat that I have made this past week. And then using another type of blue yarn, I have created another hat, and I did the same thing. I started from the brim because I really like the brim like that. But I used another stitch to create this hat, and I don't want to tell you because I don't want to give all my secrets away because I want you to come join us on the tutorial. But that's how that hat turned out. And again, it's a variegating yarn, so it just creates its own colorway. But I love that. So, all right, so I hope you'll come join me, even though I've shown you those hats already. And the only other thing that I have worked on this past week, for a whip that is I did start working on the sleeve, for my oldest son's hoodie. So I am trying to get a little bit of that done as well. So now, as far as finished products go, well, you know, on our Wednesday on the Hook, we are working on a baby set, and we had already completed the bonnets. So those are the bonnets, one tied and one not. And so this past week, we actually created the baby booties. Aren't those so cute? So far, this is our little baby set. And then this coming Wednesday and next Wednesday, we will be finishing it up, and I'll talk about that in just a minute when we get to that section. So that is what has been on my busy hooks, and I'd love to hear and see what's been on your busy hooks. So please be sure and send me some pictures on any of my social media sites, and I will share them in this video. So we didn't really have a lot of questions this week for our inquiring hooks, but I did have one person because we have used it in making hats and in some of our other projects about a magic ring, and if I would do a tutorial on how to create a magic ring. So the answer is yes, and if you will be sure and hit that notification bell on the subscribe, then you will find that video coming out sometime next week. So sometime next week, I will release a video on how to successfully do the magic ring. And I'm actually going to show 2 different types of methods. So you'll definitely want to check that out. All right. I do want to thank you once again for all of your love and support to my channel. We did gain 3 new subscribers this week, and so I thank you for that, and I thank you for the 95 views and almost 10 hours of watch time that you have given me this past week over the last 7 days. So I humbly say thank you. And so that leads us to where we're at today. Our Cup to Hook conversations, they do happen every Friday, still striving hard to go live. Really having some more complications and issues with my upload capability. And so if you'll know, Fun Day Mondays video actually started uploading to YouTube at 8:30 Monday morning, and it did not successfully actually get released until somewhere in the wee hours of Tuesday morning. So my wonderful husband has gone to Lowe's and he has bought, I don't know what, that's his expertise, but something about he's going to create a straight phone line from, I guess, our internet to our computers, because we're in an old house too, so the wiring and I guess the whole internet structure, I'll be honest, I am not very knowledgeable on all of that, is not the greatest with the foundation of the home. So he's creating something called a straight telephone line. Some of you may know exactly what he's talking about, but this gal doesn't. She's just blessed and thankful to have him. So we're going to give that a go. And if that doesn't work, then sadly, we are going to look at going ahead and possibly changing internet companies, which may or may not result in me losing my email address, which you know from previous conversations. I have had that email address for 16, almost 17 years, and I really don't want to lose it since it is the name of my crochet business. But you know what? It is what it is, and whatever I can do to enrich our time together, it will so be worth it. So we'll just kind of keep that on the back burner, and I'll keep you posted on how that's going. So last week on our Cup to Hook conversation, the question was, what is the oldest yarn in your stash and why did you buy it? And if you remember, where did you get it? And if you'll remember, I shared, I'm gonna find where it is, that the oldest yarn I had in my stash was this yarn from, it says Dawn Orlan, but I'm going to tell you something more about Orlan, because that was part of the thing. I told you that I would try my best to see if I could find out more about Orlan yarn and what it meant. But I bought this from a Goodwill. It had a little price tag sticker still on it that said Edwards, 45 cents. And again, I probably only paid like maybe 5 cents for it at Goodwill. I've had it for quite some time, probably about 15 years. We opened it last week, and it is a very soft yarn. It's a very lightweight yarn. But this is what I found out. So are you ready for a little bit of a history lesson? Because it was actually very interesting and a little exciting. So moving into cozy chats is what we will put this under. The only really cozy chat I had was I did the Lether Co. unboxing video last week, and Pamela said that she thought the yarn and the hook were absolutely gorgeous. And Pamela, you are absolutely right. That was some very, very beautiful, beautiful green and purple yarn. If you didn't see it, please be sure and go check out my unboxing of the Lether Co. It was some very beautiful yarn and a very gorgeous hook. And you know how I love the hooks. So what does Orlan mean? Orlan is a synthetic acrylic fiber that was developed by E.I. DuPont. And his company started as an offshoot pioneering work on nylon and rayon. Orlan hit the fabric stores as Orlan Staple, a bulky yarn composed of short fibers around 1955, where it launched a woman's sweater fashion boom. In 1941, a DuPont scientist seeking a means of improving rayon devised a method of spinning acrylic polymer. It was originally dubbed the title Fiber A. By 1950, the trade name Orlan was adopted for spun polyacrylonitrile fibers. I probably did not say that right. A material derived from polymers synthesized with natural gas, oxygen, and nitrogen. DuPont hoped that Orlan would replace wool in the marketplace. It was strong and warm acrylic fiber that was often used for sweaters and tracksuits and as linings for boots and gloves, as well as furnishing fabrics and carpets. It is manufactured as a filament and then cut into short stapled lengths similar to wool hairs and spun into yarn. Orlan hit the fabric stores as Orlan Staple, a bulky yarn composed of short fibers, around 1955, and it launched a women's sweater fashion boom. And by the 1960s, with sales reaching 1 million pounds per year, DuPont introduced new varieties of Orlan to meet the specific demands of blanket and carpet manufacturers. Up until 1990, DuPont offered Orlan acrylic carpet fibers, but has largely replaced its manufacture with newer synthetic fibers such as polyesters, polypropylenes, and polyamides. So Orlan is resistant to sunlight and atmospheric gases and therefore is ideal for awning, patio umbrellas, and other outdoor uses. The polymer's resistance to shrinkage, coupled to a soft, warm feel, imparted characteristics that made it a favorite for clothing. Unlike wool garments that require dry cleaning, a variety of clothing woven with Orlan were machine washable and dryable. E.I. DuPont Company, commonly referred to as DuPont, was an American company that was founded in July 1802 in Wilmington, Delaware, as a gunpowder mill by French-American chemist and industrialist E.I. DuPont. Skipping ahead a little bit, in 2014, DuPont was the world's 4th largest chemical company based on market capitalization and the 8th largest in revenue. On August 31st, 2017, it merged with the Dow Chemical Company to create Dow DuPont, the world's largest chemical company in terms of sales. Subsequently, Dow DuPont spun off 3 businesses and is now the new DuPont. So let's take a little bit step back in time to 1802 when he actually started and before yarn was even an idea for him. DuPont was founded in 1802 by E.I. DuPont using capital raised in France and gunpowder machinery imported from France. He started the company at the Eleutheran Mills on the Brandywine Creek near Wilmington, Delaware. 2 years after DuPont and his family left France to escape the French Revolution and religious persecution against Protestants. The company began as a manufacturer of gunpowder as DuPont noticed that the industry in North America was lagging behind Europe. The company grew quickly and by the mid-19th century had become the largest supplier of gunpowder to the United States military, supplying half the powder used by the Union Army during the American Civil War. The Eleutheran Mills site is now a museum and a National Historic Landmark. DuPont continued to expand, moving into the production of dynamite and smokeless powder. In 1902, DuPont's president, Eugene DuPont, died, and the surviving partners sold the company to 3 great-grandsons of the original founder, which was E.I. DuPont. Charles Lee Reese was appointed as director, and the company began centralizing their research departments. The company subsequently purchased several smaller chemical plants, and in 1912, these actions generated government scrutiny under the Sherman Antitrust Act. The courts declared that the company's dominance of the explosive business constituted a monopoly and ordered a divestment. The court ruling resulted in the creation of the Hercules Power Company, later known as Hercules Incorporated, and now is part of Ashland Incorporated, and the Atlas Power Company, purchased by Imperial Chemical Industries, and is now part of ASCO Noble, AKZO Noble. At the time of divestment, DuPont retained the single-base nitrocellulose powders, while Hercules held the double-base powders combining nitrocellulose and nitroglycerin. DuPont subsequently developed the improved military rifle line of smokeless powders. In 1914, Pierre S. DuPont invested in the fledgling automobile industry, buying stock in General Motors, and the following year he was invited to be on the GM's board of directors and would eventually be appointed the company's chairman. The DuPont company would assist the struggling automobile company further with a $25 million purchase of GM stock. In 1920, Pierre S. DuPont was elected president of General Motors. Under DuPont's guidance, GM became the #1 automobile company in the world. However, in 1957, because of DuPont's influence with GM, further action under the Clayton Antitrust Act forced DuPont to divest its shares of General Motors. In the 1920s, DuPont continued its emphasis on materials science, hiring Wallace Carothers to work on polymers in 1928. Carothers invented neoprene, a synthetic rubber, the first polyester superpolymer, and in 1935, nylon. The invention of Teflon followed a few years later and has since been proven responsible for health problems in those exposed to the chemical through manufacturing and home use. Second World War, 1941. DuPont ranked 15th among United States corporations in the value of wartime production contracts. As the inventor and manufacturer of nylon, DuPont helped produce the raw materials for parachutes, powder bags, and tires. DuPont also played a major role in the Manhattan Project in 1943, designing, building, and operating the Hanford plutonium producing plant in Hanford, Washington. In 1950, DuPont also agreed to build the Savannah River plant in South Carolina as part of the effort to create the hydrogen bomb. DuPont was one of an estimated 150 American companies that provided Germany with patents, technology, and material resources that proved crucial to the German war effort. DuPont maintained business connections with various corporations in Nazi Germany from 1933 until 1943, when all of DuPont's assets in Germany were seized by the German government along with all other American businesses. After the war, DuPont continued its emphasis on new materials, which was Orlan. DuPont has been the key company behind the development of modern body armor. In the Second World War, DuPont's ballistic nylon was used by Britain's Royal Air Force to make flak jackets. With the development of Kevlar in the 1960s, DuPont began tests to see if it could resist a lead bullet. This research would ultimately lead to the bullet-resistant vests that are used by police and military units today. DuPont is widely known for its sponsorship of former four-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Jeff Gordon and his Hendrick Motorsports number 24 Chevrolet SS. DuPont sponsored him since he began in NASCAR Cup Series and then later in Winston Cup Series in 1992. DuPont said this about their sponsorship. Our sponsorship of Jeff Gordon helps keep DuPont brands and products in the public eye. Branding is the key component of the DuPont Knowledge Intensity strategy for achieving sustainable growth. The partnership lasted 18 seasons before DuPont was replaced by AARP Drive to End Hunger as the number 24 team's primary sponsor. So how about that? So this guy who starts inventing gunpowder and dynamite, then starts building and creating, rubber and Teflon and what were some of those other things? Nylon, then creates yarn. So, and eventually, tires and bulletproof jackets and Kevlars and flak jackets, stuff that my son uses in the military. It's just so interesting. Who'd have thought? So I hope you found that as interesting as I did, that, never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that a skein of yarn would have come from a man who was in the gunpowder business. So, very interesting history there. So let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your feedback about our little history lesson on Orlan yarn. So who knew? Gunpowder yarn, dynamite yarn. Who knew? All right, so our question for this week is, what color of yarn do you find yourself buying often? So, of course, I can't just tell you one. So I thought about, what kind of yarn, was I buying all the time? What colors? And I thought, okay, I'll limit it to 3, which was fine because there were 3 colors that I found myself just drawn to. Didn't matter what the weight was, what type of yarn it was, I was drawn to those colors. And those 3 colors, for some reason, I started falling in love with the color peach. And so I kept buying peach and incorporating peach into different projects. And then navy blue. Like, navy blue goes with everything, I feel like. It doesn't matter what you pair it with. It just goes. So I was buying lots and lots of navy blue. And then I fell into the love of yellow. Like, yellow just was like it. It didn't matter what color yellow it was. I just started really being drawn to yellow. And anyway, it's such a bright, cheery color. But I would say over the last 6 months, I think I have a yarn fiber. There we go. I have noticed that I have been more, or my eye has been caught more by 2 types of color yarn, so to speak. One of them is variegated. I've just fallen madly in love with variegated yarn. And then the other would be just bright colors. So I don't know that I'm actually drawn to one particular color right now as much as I am drawn to variegated yarns and bright colors. So let me show you the yarn that I have been drawn to for the last 6 months. Kind of a combination of both. So the first one is this variegated yarn, and it's got those bright colors in it. It is, I love this yarn. It's a Hobby Lobby yarn. It is the colorway Drizzle Me This, and it is 100% acrylic. Another one, I'm pretty sure I bought this at Walmart, but it is a Red Heart Super Saver color yarn, and it is the colorway Parrot Stripe, and it is also 100% acrylic. Right there. And another one is this Derby Stripe. It is also by Red Heart, and it is 100% acrylic. Isn't that pretty? And then the Neon Stripes is also Red Heart, but Neon Stripes. And it, of course, is also 100% acrylic. That's just gorgeous. And then so those are all variegated bright colors, but I'm also drawn to solid bright colors. So here's this big twist that I got from Joann's, and it is the colorway, let's see. Honestly, I don't think it's given me a color name. It is 100% acrylic. Oh, it's coral. It does say it right there. Coral. And 100% acrylic. Whoops. 100% acrylic. Okay, I'm going to get it on the camera yet. There we go. All right. And now this yarn I just bought really within the last month. But it is Overjoyed yarn. And it is a bulky 6 yarn. This particular colorway is just called Blue, and it's also 100% acrylic. And this is the same type, Overjoyed yarn, that's 6 bulky weight, and it's just called Fuchsia, and it's also 100% acrylic. And then this one is Hometown Lion Brand, and it is the colorway Miami Seafoam, and I'm pretty sure it's acrylic. Yep, 100% acrylic. And the name of it is right there. So apparently I'm in love with variegated bright colored yarn. So let me know, what color yarn do you tend to buy? All right, so moving along to our Fun Day Mondays, which happen on Mondays. And we are currently right now participating in the Hat Not Hate project, and we are creating different hats, which I have shared with you earlier in this video. So please come on over and check us out, and I hope that you will consider participating. They are trying to collect 100,000 hats this year to distribute to school-age children to definitely stand up against bullying. So very, very worthy cause. And so that is what we've worked on this past week, was hat number 2. And then this coming week, we will be working on hat number 3, which I'm calling the Twilight Grit hat. So, all right. Our Wednesday on the hooks, we, as I shared with you earlier, completed the booties of the baby set this past week. And this coming week, we will be working on the sweater of that series. And again, there's a quick picture of that sweater. We are going to work on it over a 2-week period. So I hope that you are enjoying that little project series, and excited to see what we're going to be making next. So give me some ideas. But if not, in 2 weeks, I will reveal the new project. So, all right. So we're going to start wrapping things up with our Joy Basket moments. And so I just want to take a few minutes to just kind of encourage you with scripture from Psalms 44:3. And it just says, "It wasn't their power that gave them victory, but it was your great power and strength. You were with them because you love them." And this was talking about King Jehoshaphat of Judah realized that his nation did not stand a chance against the invading armies of Ammon, Moab, and Mount Seir. So he asked, praying to the Lord for instruction. Well, God's direction to him went against all conventional wisdom. Instead of fighting with swords and bows, the people of Judah were to worship the Lord with singing. So they did. They praised him as their enemies advanced, and miraculously, he won their battle for them. So I ask you, are you facing a challenge that seems overwhelming today? Well, if you are, instead of worrying about it, getting angry, getting frustrated, letting it consume you, wondering how you're going to get through, just stop and sing. Just stop and sing and praise him. So find a song and just sing it. Sing it with all your heart. And let God guide you. His instructions may not always make sense to us at times, especially during different situations that we're going through. But no matter what, we need to obey him and do exactly what he suggests and what he asks of us. Because surely, if he can triumph in the battle for King Jehoshaphat of Judah, then surely he can triumph in any battle that we face. And the thing that we need to learn is that all we really need is him. So, God, we've been fretting because we do not have the resources for the challenges that we face day to day. But thank you for always showing us that all we need to do is obey. So this week, I encourage you just to sing. Sing, 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 sing. All right, so my Love Share shout outs for this week, I have 2. And one of them is our new subscribers, who is one of my dearest and oldest friends, Tosha Ramirez. And so thank you, Tosha, for coming and joining. She has been crocheting now probably close to a year, if not just a little bit longer. So excited to have her on board. And she lives near me, you guys. So I have someone physically who is close to me that crochets and can definitely put up with all my excitement and insaneness when it comes to crocheting and yarn. Tosha is a woman of many talents. She's not only a wonderful wife and mother and grandmother, but she is the queen of baking and cooking. Let me tell you what, there is not a morsel that she fixes that you put in your mouth that is just not divine. I mean, I can't promise you that it's all calorie free, but I can promise you that it is very, very delicious, and makes my mouth watering just thinking about different things. And then the last person that I'm going to give a shout out to is a lady that I have recently started following, probably within the last year. And it's really funny because the very first time I saw a video of hers, she had all these hats. And she kept showing hats and hats and hats that she was making. And I was just like, boy, this woman really likes making hats. And at that time, I'd really never made hats, other than a few here and there. And so I was like, okay, well, so her niche is hats. Little did I know last year when I discovered her that she was making hats for the Hat Not Hate project. So without further ado, I would like to do a love shout out to Mama Hodge. And so I will be sure to include her information in the description box so you can go over and check out her YouTube channel if you have not already subscribed to her. So that wraps up our time together today. I have enjoyed hanging out and spending time with you and really love the history lesson. So if you've not subscribed to my channel, be sure and do so and ring the bell so you don't miss any future videos. I've got a lot of exciting things coming up in the next couple of weeks that I don't want you to miss. Tell all your crafty friends about us and have a wonderful week. Be joyful, stay crafty in your own way, and make your own joyful creations. And I will see you next week. Bye.